With 130,000 years of human prehistory, of which only the last 13,000 years have been documented because of the archaeological dogma that there was no point in looking deeper.
Scientists discovered a lost ancient city hidden underwater that shouldn't exist when they mapped over 600 wooden posts embedded in clay at the bottom of an Italian lake. These posts once held up an entire Bronze Age village that had been literally resting on top of the lake and lost to time. Unlike typical archaeological sites, underwater discoveries present unique preservation conditions that have kept numerous artifacts intact for thousands of years. How could this be? This video holds these answers. Keep watching till the end to learn about the remarkable underwater discoveries. The moment of discovery. In the early 2000s, something extraordinary happened off the western coast of Cuba. Something no one could have predicted. A simple underwater mission meant to search for old Spanish shipwrecks ended up changing the way scientists looked at human history. Who would have thought that a routine survey could uncover something so mysterious that it would shake the foundations of what we thought we knew about civilization itself? It all began when two Canadian marine engineers, Pauline Zalitsky and her husband Paul Weinsweig, set out on what seemed like a standard operation. Their company, Advanced Digital Communications, had teamed up with the Cuban government in 2001 to explore the ocean floor near the Guanahacabibes Peninsula. The plan was simple enough: find shipwrecks, maybe discover some colonial treasures, and document a bit of history. But instead, they stumbled upon something far more intriguing, something that didn't fit neatly into any known chapter of the human story. As their side-scan sonar swept across the seabed, the equipment picked up unusual readings. At first, the team thought it might be just natural rock formations, perhaps coral beds or geological ridges. But as the data came in, the images told a different story. What they were looking at didn't look random at all. It looked deliberate. The patterns appeared too symmetrical, too geometric, too human. Beneath the deep blue waters, about 2 square kilometers of the seafloor revealed what seemed to be massive stone formations laid out in perfect order. The arrangement resembled the layout of a planned city, with grid-like designs, right-angled shapes, and patterns that hinted at streets, plazas, and maybe even buildings. Could it be possible that an entire city lay buried underwater, waiting to tell its story after thousands of years? When reporters asked Pauline about the discovery, she spoke with both excitement and caution. She admitted that it looked like a large urban center, something intentionally designed and built by intelligent hands. Yet she was careful not to jump to conclusions. She told journalists that it would be irresponsible to call it a city without more evidence. After all, underwater illusions can be tricky. Sometimes nature itself plays architect, shaping rocks into forms that deceive the eye. But this, she said, felt different. The lines were too clean, the proportions too consistent, and the layout too precise to be an accident of nature. To be certain, the team returned to the site in July 2001. This time, they weren't going alone. They brought along a respected geologist, Dr. Manuel Iturralde from Cuba's Natural History Museum, and a remotely operated underwater vehicle, or ROV, equipped with cameras to explore the site more deeply. What they captured left everyone speechless. The robot descended into the dark depths, reaching nearly 2,000 feet below the surface. Down there, it recorded images of enormous stone blocks, each one roughly 8 by 10 feet in size, some carefully stacked, others scattered but still arranged in patterns that hinted at purpose. There were formations that looked like pyramids, others that appeared like roads, and still others that seemed like the foundations of ancient buildings. The sonar scans and ROV footage together painted a picture that was hard to ignore. These weren't random rocks. They looked engineered, crafted, placed. But by whom? And when? The deeper the team dug into the mystery, the stranger it became. Scientists from around the world began to pay attention, and soon debates broke out about what these underwater structures really were. If they were truly man-made, it meant that human civilization in the Americas might be far older than previously believed. How could that be? The oldest known advanced civilizations in the region, like the Maya or the Olmec, only date back a few thousand years. Yet these submerged formations seem to suggest something that might be tens of thousands of years old. That was hard to accept, even for the most open-minded archaeologists. Some experts proposed that the site could be around 6,000 years old, which would already make it older than the Egyptian pyramids. But then, Dr. Iturralde made an even more shocking estimate. He believed that for structures like these to have sunk to such a depth, it would have taken roughly 50,000 years. 50,000. That's almost unimaginable. To put it in perspective, 50,000 years ago, humans were still using stone tools and living in caves. Could such people really have had the ability to construct massive architectural works, let alone plan an entire city? It didn't seem to add up. As Dr. Iturralde put it, there wasn't the architectural capacity in any of the cultures we know of to build complex buildings back then. The remark left many scientists puzzled. If the structures were that old, they couldn't have been built by any known civilization. But if they weren't man-made, how could nature have created something so geometrically perfect? A specialist in underwater archaeology from Florida State University even remarked that while it would be amazing if the discovery proved to be an ancient city, it was simply too advanced for anything we'd expect to see in the New World for that time. In other words, these stone formations were both out of place and out of time. Despite the growing curiosity, the mystery remained unsolved. The site was located in a remote part of the ocean and at such great depths that diving there was nearly impossible without specialized equipment. A planned expedition in 2002 was eventually cancelled, partly due to funding problems and partly because of the logistical challenges of working in Cuban waters. Even renowned oceanographer Sylvia Earle mentioned that the depth and location made the site incredibly difficult to explore further. Over the years, many have wondered why no one went back. Was it lack of interest, political red tape, or simply the enormous cost of deep-sea exploration? Perhaps it was a mix of all three, and so the mystery lingers to this day. But one thing's for sure, the ocean never gives up its secrets easily. And as we dive deeper into what might still lie hidden beneath those dark waters, stay with me till the very end, because this next part changes everything, uncovering the city's structure. The layout of underwater cities has turned out to be far more complicated and fascinating than anyone could have imagined, leaving archaeologists amazed at how much ancient civilizations were truly capable of. When researchers first began examining the ruins lying silently beneath the sea, they discovered that these weren't just random clusters of stones or forgotten temples. They were entire cities, carefully planned, beautifully constructed, and astonishingly preserved despite being hidden under the waves for thousands of years. Who would have thought that beneath the calm blue surface of the ocean, entire worlds had been waiting to be rediscovered? Among these submerged wonders, Pavlopetri stands out as one of the oldest known underwater cities. Archaeologists reported that the Greek settlement was so well preserved that its layout could still be traced with clarity. They explained that it had 3 main roads running through it, linking around 50 rectangular buildings that each contained open courtyards. The city covered roughly 500,000 square feet, and despite being underwater for millennia, its original design was still visible, something that experts found almost unbelievable. It wasn't just the buildings that impressed them. Beneath the ruins, they uncovered signs of an intricate water management system, revealing that these ancient people had an understanding of engineering far beyond what anyone assumed for that time. Was it possible, they wondered, that ancient architects were far more advanced than modern textbooks suggested? In Egypt's Thonis Heraklion, the situation was even more unusual. The city wasn't built on firm ground at all. Instead, it was spread across several islands, sandbanks, and mudflats, an ingenious setup that combined both land and water. Archaeologists noted that this ancient port city had been a blend of aquatic marshland and urban sprawl. It contained navigable canals that crisscrossed the settlement, allowing boats to move freely between neighborhoods. There were harbors and wharves where traders once docked their ships, temple complexes where priests performed sacred rituals, and networks of bridges, ferries, and pontoons connecting various districts. The whole layout gave the impression that the city was alive with movement, sound, and purpose. Could one even imagine what daily life must have been like there, with traders shouting across the harbors, priests chanting in distant temples, and citizens ferrying across shimmering waterways? Then there was Baiae, the luxurious Roman resort near present-day Naples, which demonstrated how far the Romans had taken their construction technology. Archaeologists discovered that Roman builders had developed a special kind of hydraulic cement that could resist seawater corrosion. This meant they could construct grand villas and elaborate thermal baths that stood partly or even fully submerged. It seemed as though no obstacle, neither land nor sea, could stop them from pursuing architectural excellence. People who once vacationed there probably never imagined that centuries later their holiday town would become a mysterious underwater ruin admired by divers and scientists alike. When researchers compared these underwater cities to other ancient settlements found on land, they realized there were both familiar and surprising differences. Pavlopetri's layout, for example, bore a strong resemblance to the design of many modern towns, with neatly organized streets, houses, gardens, and public spaces. Archaeologists also found Minoan-style loom weights, suggesting the city was involved in textile production and maritime trade. It wasn't just a place to live, it was a center of industry and culture. Thonis Heraklion, on the other hand, was far larger and more important than many other known ports of its time. It served as Egypt's primary emporion, or trading port, long before Alexandria even existed. Some experts said it was a bustling hub where merchants from Greece, the Near East, and Africa all came to exchange goods. Similarly, the ancient city of Phanagoria, once the eastern capital of the Bosporan Kingdom, displayed large coastal structures that might have served as watchtowers or lighthouses, watching over ships that approached from the horizon. Perhaps the most intriguing revelation came from how well planned these underwater cities were. Pavlopetri, for instance, wasn't just a cluster of random buildings. Archaeologists measured an 80,000 square meter settlement with a spacious plaza at its center. The streets were neatly laid out to form rectangular blocks, something that strongly resembled modern grid systems. Could it be that humans were experimenting with urban design thousands of years before it officially appeared in recorded history? Thonis Herakleion also revealed traces of administrative organization. Researchers found what they believed to be a customs administration center where goods were once inspected and taxed before being sent further inland. In Canopus, another Egyptian city now underwater, monumental temples such as the one dedicated to Serapis suggested a deliberate plan for how sacred spaces were arranged within the urban layout. One of the most surprising discoveries, however, came from underwater excavations in Alexandria's East Harbor. Scientists studying the sediment layers found evidence of human activity that predated Alexander the Great by centuries. Pottery fragments, heavy minerals, and unusual concentrations of lead hinted at something far more substantial than a simple fishing village. According to geochemist Richard Carlson, the enhanced lead signal showed that large amounts of clay were being imported, clear evidence of a thriving settlement as early as 1000 BC. Imagine that, Alexandria, the famous city of scholars and traders, standing on ground that had already been home to another sophisticated civilization long before its official founding. All these findings painted a picture that historians could no longer ignore. These were not primitive communities washed away by time. They were complex societies with technology, planning, and organization that rivaled or even surpassed what had been previously thought possible. ChatGPT said, "Before we dive into the debates and wild theories surrounding these ruins, take a moment to picture this. Entire cities swallowed by the sea, yet still whispering secrets through their stone walls." The underwater ruins didn't just appear out of nowhere. they tell a story of civilizations that once mastered geometry, hydrology, trade, and even religion in ways that still leave today's experts baffled. Each pillar, each carving, each forgotten corridor feels like a clue waiting to be pieced together. Could it be that our timeline of human progress isn't as complete as we think? That entire chapters of history are buried beneath the waves? Well, many researchers believe exactly that, and their theories don't just challenge what we know, they threaten to rewrite everything we thought we understood about civilization itself. Stay with me, because what comes next might just change how you see history forever. Theories and debates about its origin. The ongoing debate about the mysterious underwater structures has stirred both curiosity and division among scientists, researchers, and even casual observers around the world. Some people look at these submerged formations and see the work of ancient human hands, while others see nothing more than the remarkable results of nature's slow, patient sculpting. The arguments are strong on both sides, and no one seems entirely sure where the truth lies. Could it be that humans from thousands of years ago really built such massive, intricate designs deep beneath the sea? Or are these just nature's way of reminding us how powerful and unpredictable geological forces can be? Marine geologist Masaki Kimura, one of the most vocal supporters of the man-made theory, insists that the formations were deliberately carved and arranged by human beings. He describes them as stepped monoliths, massive layered stone structures that bear the kind of precision one might expect from intelligent design. According to his research, the angles, symmetry, and staircase-like shapes are too refined to be random. He has often been quoted as saying that it would be too much of a coincidence for nature to have produced such orderly patterns. But then again, isn't nature full of surprises? Across the planet, we've seen rock formations, caves, and cliffs shaped into stunningly symmetrical forms without any human involvement. Could these underwater wonders simply be another one of those? On the other side of the argument stands geologist Robert Schoch, who firmly believes that these formations are natural. He argues that sandstone, the rock found in many of these underwater sites, naturally contains well-defined parallel bedding planes, essentially layers that can easily break off in straight lines. When earthquakes occur, as they frequently do in the region, these rocks tend to fracture along those lines, creating rectangular and stepped formations that might look deliberate, but are not. Schoch has spent years studying how geological pressure, erosion, and seismic activity can shape landscapes in seemingly unnatural ways. He points out that Japan and other areas of the Pacific Rim are extremely earthquake-prone, and that repeated quakes over thousands of years could very easily have formed the clean edges and terraces seen underwater. Could it be that what people are calling ancient ruins are actually just the handiwork of earthquakes and time? Another researcher, Wolf Wichmann, who studied the formations in both 1999 and 2001, also leaned toward the natural formation explanation. He concluded that the underwater structures were more likely the result of erosion and tectonic activity rather than evidence of lost civilizations. His findings added weight to Schoch's theory, but not everyone was convinced. After all, the ocean holds many secrets, and there's something undeniably intriguing about the idea that these structures might be remnants of a civilization long forgotten. How many times has human history surprised us before? How many discoveries once dismissed as myths later turned out to hold a grain of truth? Some researchers believe these submerged formations might represent the remains of lost Pacific civilizations, perhaps built by Japan's prehistoric Jomon people, who lived on the islands as far back as 12,000 BC. That's a date that predates most known civilizations, which is exactly why the idea is so captivating. If the Jomon people really built these structures, it would completely reshape our understanding of ancient human development. Some scholars even go further, connecting these sites to mythic lands like Kumari Kandam, a legendary sunken continent said to have once linked India to Australia and Madagascar. The notion that entire civilizations could have existed and vanished beneath the waves has always fascinated human imagination. Could these ruins, if they truly are man-made, be the physical proof of those myths we've dismissed as mere legend? In the end, the debate over these underwater structures remains one of the most captivating mysteries of modern archaeology. Every discovery seems to raise more questions than answers. The naturalists argue for patience, logic, and geology, while the alternative theorists push for imagination, history, and the possibility of forgotten worlds. And perhaps that's what makes this subject so compelling. It invites everyone from scientists to storytellers to wonder about the vast, unseen parts of our planet and the ancient secrets they may still be hiding. After all, the ocean covers more than 2/3 of the Earth and much of it remains unexplored. Who can say for sure what lies beneath the waves? With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content to enjoy more thrilling stories. Click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.